Hello, YouTube. We're back on Twitch today. It's been a little while, but I am now off my break. We are going to be watching the most toxic gaming community. This is by a friend of mine, a content creator that I like quite a lot, Connor's Thoughts. Very interested in what he has to say. Super good thumbnail, but I'm excited to get into it. Let's see what Connor has to say. If you'd like to come join us on Twitch sometime at twitch.tv/hex_juice, I would love to see you over here. You can get a free bodily enhancement of your choice when you come chat with us in our community chat. It'll be so fun, and poggers, you can get a bigger PP or whatever you would like. I know some people don't really want a bigger PP. You've got enough redemptions of that one. But let's go ahead and get into it, and let's see what Connor has to say. Subscribe.
There is a gaming niche that has some...
Oh, wait. When did Connor start? Dude, the green screen looks so sick. Wait, I was taken totally off guard. Damn. Okay, slay, Connor. Go off. The quality.
People in all of the internet and I would know. I'm one of them. And that would be the gacha community. The gacha community continues to spiral in a cycle of vitriol, big corpo shilling, and of course, death threats. And while death threats are nothing new to the internet, it seems almost a little bit worse here. But that might just be because I'm friends with a lot of people in the space and see what they have to deal with on a regular basis. We exist in a really weird time here in our little corner of the internet. And
Agreed.
I wanted to do my best to tackle why I think that is and see what we can maybe try and do about it. Is this a futile attempt? Maybe.
Almost certainly. It is 100% futile, but we try anyway. It's our job to yap.
Maybe. It very well could be. But I'll be damned if I don't give it a shot. So let's talk about why this community is so gosh darn toxic and what we can do about it. So bend over daddy's knee and get ready for a spanking, because I'm about to teach you kids a lesson.
No, thank you. That took me completely by surprise. No, thank you. I would love to hear you out, but I do not wish to do all of that. Totally off guard. All right, go off, Connor. What do you got to say?
Before we do that, make sure to drop a like and subscribe too. Hopefully not, because like the spank, it's for the bitch.
Subscribe to Connor to be bent over his knee and spanked. He knows you'll really like that. Subscribe to me because I'm awesome and cool and the bestest that there ever was. I will not be spanking you, but perhaps I can arrange something between you and Connor as I am friends with him.
Shut the fuck up.
The Tinder.
Now, there are a few components to the gacha space and why
I was so confused because I was like, Tinder? What does an online dating app have to do with this? I'm realizing that he's saying Tinder as in like kindling, the shit that feeds the fire. But I was like, who got caught using Tinder inappropriately?
Sitting around for a political conversation over Thanksgiving dinner. Your political candidate's a walking corpse. Your political candidate is a literal felon. Anybody else hate the elderly? The gacha...
Yeah, and children. Above 45, below 18, hate them all, and probably hate everybody else in the middle as well. I hate equally. Everybody's terrible.
Community is made up of a Venn diagram of 3 different groups, so let's walk through them real quick. Firstly, we have the antisocial and parasocial people. And I'm sure there's
everybody in Twitch chat. Welcome.
Some antisocial people who aren't going to be like being paired up with the parasocial people, but you know what? Screw off. This is my chart. I'm going to group it how I want to. Hoyoverse has been on record stating that they want to target antisocial people who can't communicate women for their games.
Is that real? They've said that directly in that kind of wording? I did not know that. I mean, like, I knew they did that given the way that they do it, but like, I didn't realize that they said that like that. That's crazy.
People in this category easily attach themselves to characters and things in a parasocial manner. See Exhibit A. People treating video game characters like real people. An example of this taking place was with the Honkai Star Rail drama concerning the character of Robin. At least online and Twitter, people in the gay community could not tolerate any kind of straight ships for the character because she was supposedly reserved for the lesbians. People went to fucking war over this. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And now, while I'm not going to lump everybody in that same category because I know some gay people who thought it was absolutely ridiculous, it doesn't change the fact that that war took place.
It surely did. That was such an interesting period of time. I definitely was surprised because my take on all of that was more or less like, I think that your headcanons are cool, headcanons are fun, whatever your perspective or how you see the characters is fun. But like, you can't really get mad at people for not agreeing with your perspective personally that you choose to see the character through. Like, if it's the lens that you've made to see the character through, you can't be mad if someone else is using a different lens. And it was insane in that situation to be told that I was a homophobe. The reality is that it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter at all. There are very few things that matter less. I will say also that this does not apply specifically in the instance of Chong-Li being my wife. I understand a lot of people like her, know that she is married to me and to me alone. That's not my headcanon. That is the canon of Wuthering Waves. And anybody who disagrees with it is, in fact, homophobic and additionally a bad person who should be taken off of the internet. Period. The end.
And just to reiterate, for those of you who still might be confused, as said by people better than me, she's not real.
True that.
Anyway, this parasocial attachment is not limited to video game characters, but can also be applied to content creators, where then these parasocial people start to elevate them to a higher status of being. Once someone has been elevated,
I'm sure all of my chat would agree that I'm a god. Put a 1 in chat if you agree that I am a god with absolutely not a single flaw or imperfection, right? Everybody in my chat would agree. I'm like, geez, anybody who puts a 2, by the way, you're getting shot. Violence upon you. You put anything other than a 1 in this chat. Ban them. Ban them. Get them out of here. I'm a god. I'm perfect. Y'all have to know this.
To this higher status of being, if they do not meet the headcanon of these parasocial people, they will be crucified and canceled on Twitter. You can be sure of that. Now, if the content creator manages to stay in the good books of those parasocial people, they will defend that content creator if anybody dare step up to them, and they will attack like a starving pit bull that's just wandered into a kid's daycare.
Yeah. I don't know if he's going to address this, but the problem is also, if you are someone who specifically panders to that audience, the problem ends up being that they will turn on you for very small shit. If they follow you because of your positivity toward their like specific parasocial stuff or like toward their just general lack of criticism for something, you have to be that way forever or you will be crucified forever. You will be crucified and they will never fucking forgive you. You get the benefit of having people defend you, but with the cost that it is very, very, very easy to piss those people off and like they will turn on you just as hard as they turn on other people.
Both of these circumstances are an unhealthy attachment to characters or people, and it is not a good place for either party. But now that we understand our parasocials, let's talk about our second group, the gamblers. Now let's call a spade a spade. Gacha games are gambling. Whether you're gambling your time by re-rolling accounts or logging in every single day to get every single ounce of currency you can get as a free-to-play player, or as a whale who's walking in there and actually dropping literal dollars on the game to get premium currency to roll on new characters, you are still gambling regardless with either time.
100%. There's always a cost to a gacha game because you can be free to play. The cost is then your time and effort. And if you pay money, the cost is obviously money and also your time. And they will try to take up as much of your money and time as they possibly can. That is just what it is.
Time or money. This group of people is very prone to the cost sunk fallacy, where if somebody dares criticize their game in either a constructive or destructive manner, they will do everything they can to protect their investment.
100%.
And you can be damn sure they're going to attack that offender on sight. They do this because they're worried that if their game loses in popularity and spending, that they're going to get the dreaded EOS, end of service.
Which is such an odd set of people to have to interact with for sure, because their loyalty is like sort of against themselves and against the consumer. When you are in this particular mindset, you are actually simply defending and in favor of a corporation, but it is anti-you and it is anti-consumer, because the reality of these gacha games is that they will actively put in mechanics and actively put in parts of games that make you have less fun. It is a less satisfying experience if they think that they can procure more of your time or money. Or both. They don't care about your satisfaction. They care about you continuing to play the game. And they will input strategies that are more addictive and less satisfying and less fun and less good to keep you playing the game. If they edge you a lot, but don't ever give you exactly what you want, you just keep playing. They can actually take more from you that way than if they actually do like satisfy what you want from the game. Because when you're satisfied, you're done. If we want to make it about jorking, right? If you're edging and gooning all the time, you're constantly like on, like you want more of it. You don't stop. When you finish, you're done. You're sated. You don't want to continue. So if they ever actually satisfy everything that you want from the game, you're not going to want to continue playing as much. They want you to never be fully satisfied. I don't even remember where I was going with this because that analogy was so off the rails. So I'm just going to let bro keep talking. I apologize.
Service I have no idea. A horrific thought for the gambler, because then you're actually faced with the amount that you've wasted on the game, because now it's just actually gone and there's nothing left. Let me be clear. You've already wasted all of that, but that's usually when the reality finally hits for people.
Right.
But let's not get this mixed up. If you wail on a gacha game, I think you've already lost, personally.
I think people can do what they would like with their money. Do I think that you should wail on gacha games? Absolutely not. You should spend responsibly and never more than like what you have the budget for. And you should never choose the game over having comfort, having your bills paid, having what you need, having food, all of that stuff. If you have expendable income and you would like to do it in a gacha game as a choice for your enjoyment, that is okay. But understand that there is an addictive proper to these games, and you need to be aware of why you are spending, and if you are enjoying it, or if you feel like you have to, or you feel like you don't have a choice, or you feel like you have like an addictive itch to continue spending. I think that there are levels to that. I think people should have freedom to do what they want, but if you continuously spend and feel like you don't have self-control, you should, stop doing that. Right?
Don't get me wrong. I think you should have every right to do what you want on these games. And if you want to go and spend thousands of dollars on anime PNGs and or 3D models that you can run around the world in, you should have every right to. But just because you have a right to doesn't make you correct. And I still think it's a waste.
That's very fair. Just because you have the right to do it does not mean that it is the right thing to do. Very true. I agree.
But that brings us to the end of the gamblers and to our third category of people, and that is the gooner degenerates. The absolute horny.
Put a 1 in chat if you're a gooner degenerate. And if anybody says anything other than 1, you're a liar. You're a liar, lying liar, pants on fire, you gooner degenerates. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know what you are, girl. Y'all nasty.
Funniest people I have ever met on the internet have come from the gacha space. And while there's definitely a general crossover with the anime community, it seems like the most degenerate of the anime community ends up trickling their way into gacha games as well. There were fetishes I didn't know existed before I started playing gacha games and engaging in the community. And those are fetishes that I will say I am worse off knowing. Just please, for the love of God, don't Google the term docking.
I've talked about docking so much in this stream. I wonder if he learned that from me. I want to ask him so bad. I talk about docking a lot on this stream, but that's because like people on Twitter love to dock. Like Atsu docks like a lot. Like he's like one of the most studious dockers I've ever known. He be typing up those docs and posting them. I feel like docking is not that bad. Like Atsu does it a ton. A lot of people have docked. Brax is docked. I mean, people dock on Twitter all the time. Like they do it. They dock so much. Guys, it's like Google Docs. Why are you acting like it's something weird? Atsu loves docking. He does it so much. His docs are so long. He docks for so long. He's got crazy docking endurance, on God. That being said, in terms of fetishes that I'd rather not know about anymore, I'm sick of the armpit stuff. I don't understand it. I don't like it. And I'm sick of the art where they make the armpit look like something it is not. They make the armpit look like a different body part, and I hate it. If you're gonna have an armpit fetish, at least have it for the armpit and not about it looking like something else. Begging. Thank you.
It's your fault, Cap. Now, before this sounds like I'm condemning—
Oh, Cap taught him about docking? That makes a lot of sense. Cap is the biggest woman gooner I know.
some of you, remember, I'm right down in this pit with you. I've got 6 gacha games installed on my phone right now that I log in to check in on at least daily. So I'm not saying this as an outsider looking in, I'm saying this as a peer sitting right next to you in the mud. All of these Venn diagrams intersect at one central place, and that is peak toxic gacha player. And now you may not find yourself in the center of this Venn diagram, but I am convinced everybody is in at least one of these categories. And if you don't think you're in one of these categories, you are a fucking liar. Stop lying to yourself right now.
Which category am I in? No, not even really not the gambler, because I don't even get any joy from gambling anymore. It's kind of just a function of my job. I think I'm a parasocial gooner. I'm a parasocial gooner and I'm proud. I want Chong-Li to bounce it for me. Please, milady, my lady, please bounce that thing for me, girl. Thank you. Also, please, Jane Doe's Endless Zone Zero, bounce that thing for me. Thank you.
Don't think you're in one of these categories? You are a fucking liar. Stop lying to yourself right now. Look, there may be some well-adjusted people who play these games, you know, people like myself, of course, but I have yet to meet anybody else like that. Now, let's be clear, any group of people are going to be susceptible to the pitfalls of a toxic community. But these traditional vices, I think, give this group more of a predisposition for them. So we've got our Tinder and our makeup of people. Let's talk about how we set fire.
Okay.
I'm not the first one to say this, and I will not be the last one to say this, but tribalism. Now, let's be clear. Tribalism is a normal human instinct, and it's one of the things that has allowed us to thrive as a species up until this point. It's not inherently a bad thing.
Okay, can I just say this video is fucking hitting? This is so good so far. I've been really fucking enjoying this. I know I'm joking around a lot, but like this video is hitting. Absolute cinema. Insane. So good.
We all want to have that group of people that we know are going to back us up when the going gets tough. However, toxic tribalism is when the fear of one of those circles starts to lead the group. Toxic tribalism keeps—
Okay, so I'd like to say that I personally have a slightly different perspective on this, because the base actual definition of tribalism is sort of inherently toxic when you take it outside of the original use of tribes, right? Like if you take it outside of caveman shit, you know, pre-industrial era stuff, tribalism is inherently sort of a toxic thing. I think that this is a really good definition of tribalism. And this is something, I want to be clear, that makes a lot of sense when you're a caveman, you know, and you need to keep the in-group strong and the out-group powerful, because like the things, very few things that are as unifying as a common enemy, right? But the two definitions for tribalism that I think are very important to understand are tribal consciousness and loyalty, especially in the exaltation of the tribe above other groups. So what that means is that your tribe is like us is better than them. This tribe is better than all the other tribes. And then there's the strong in-group loyalty on top of that. You know, and so I want to be clear that like tribalism is sort of inherently toxic when you take it outside of the realm of like what it was originally used for and the reason why it's an instinctual thing. In modern day stuff, tribalism is always going to be toxic. It is inherently toxic because it requires you sort of seeing others as less than. It sees you as being better and others as less. And that is inherently sort of a negative and toxic thing.
In a constant state of fear and war, where you always feel like you need to be protecting yourself from the other tribes. And then if you fail to adhere to the perfect dogma of your own tribe, you will find yourself on the sacrificial altar with the other people you are trying to protect yourself from. When left unchecked, toxic tribalism either only ends in a group devouring itself by trying to constantly achieve a certain degree of purity and people who adhere to the dogma, or if they manage to do that, it will lead them into a place where they refuse to look at any other perspective, leading them into a place of stagnation and a slow state of decay.
I think that was a fantastic way of summarizing this concept. My only thing, I'm not necessarily disagreeing. I'm saying that in my opinion, there is no version of tribalism that is not inherently toxic. Does that make sense? I don't think that there's a difference between tribalism and toxic tribalism. My personal belief is that tribalism overall is inherently toxic by nature of what it is. But I do agree that was a great summary of how it works. Absolutely, 100%.
Example, Genshin Impact is a game that has suffered from both of these things at different times,
100%.
where people didn't like the game enough, they were just seen as toxic, and now that they refuse to bring about any kind of change, the game has just been a slow state of decay for a while now.
Yes.
I know it's going to piss off some Genshin stands, but look, I'm just calling it as I see it. Even if it
Okay, put a 1 in chat if you still play and enjoy Genshin Impact. Put a 2 in chat if you no longer play or no longer enjoy Genshin Impact, whatever. Okay, we'll be clear that probably my community is a little bit... Okay, we'll be fair that perhaps my community is a little bit not balanced on this one. That was way more twos than I thought that was gonna be. Okay, my community might be a little bit biased toward no longer playing Genshin, just a slight amount of bias. However, if you still enjoy Genshin, can you agree that the community is pretty garbo? Like, honestly, not necessarily worth taking part in. Okay, fair.
Initially, when you found yourself in one of these groups, this was not your intention to act this way. Just out of self-preservation, people's beliefs will shift over time just to subconsciously protect themselves.
100%.
Now, if you've got a toxic tribe and you take a group...
I'm gonna be real. I've been personally suffering from this. Actually, I'm gonna let him say that again. I want to hear that better because I feel like I wasn't fully hearing that.
Even if initially, when you found yourself in one of these groups, this was not your intention to act this way, just out of self-preservation, people's beliefs will shift over time just to subconsciously protect themselves.
I'm gonna be real. I think that I was actually suffering from this, and it was really like hurting my ability to enjoy making content. I think that that was a huge part of me needing this break and me needing to like recollect myself and figure out what I was about to be doing. Because I do think that to a certain point, I was sort of just like entrenching myself on one side of things because there was a protectiveness of it for sure. That's so real and true because the reality is that if you entrench yourself with one tribe, you only get attacked by the other tribe. It's like a protective thing because your tribe will also protect you. Where like, if you don't participate in the tribalism, you end up sort of being attacked by everyone. And so what I think had happened is like, I was playing Woo-Wah and I really entrenched myself heavy on that like anti-Hoyo stuff. And then I ended up liking ZZZ so much. And it was like, then the tribe that I had been participating in was like, bro, fuck you. How dare you betray the tribe? You're fucking with the other tribe. You're mingling with them. And then they're mad at me. But then the tribe that I had been shitting on is also mad at me. And so like, it was being attacked by both sides, which was obviously really difficult. When I started trying to unentrench myself without fully understanding what had been going on and why that was happening, that was so difficult, but I think this is absolutely something I had fallen victim to and a big reason why I needed to take a break.
Now, if you've got a toxic tribe and you take a group of antisocial people who, generally speaking, have a hard enough time integrating themselves into particular groups, they're going to be ripe for this kind of experience. Then if you've got the gamblers in the group, they're very quick to weaponize that group of people because they have a fear of loss and want to protect their investments.
100%.
Then you've got the gooners and the degenerates standing around, just jerking off constantly, so busy in their own heads that they just sit around and let it all happen anyway. Kind of like sloth coming out of the fruits of lust in a weird way. Usually the only thing that can get one of the gooners or degenerates really fired up in a toxic way is when they smell censorship. Because like, dude, I swear, if I got to hear one more person complain about Nicole's boobs being nerfed, I'm gonna riot.
Honestly, same. Also, I'm gonna say it. I'm glad they censored those Aboba because there is no way I could have played Zenless Zone Zero with a clear head if those things were thinging like that. However, I am also sick of that. That's a joke. I don't care. If you want the Aboba, have the Aboba. Okay. I don't personally give a shit. Put 1 in chat if you're jorking your peanuts right now, though.
I'm gonna absolutely lose it. Nobody cares.
Agreed.
But the combination of these three groups always kind of being on the lookout makes the current state of the community even trickier. I would like to propose that people in these communities don't know how to exist in a time of peace. Like a bunch of World War II veterans coming back with PTSD, they just see war everywhere. The gacha space as a whole finally finds itself on the other side of a multi-phase drama that contained one of the biggest bouts of content creator PvP that I've ever seen over multiple years. For real, this is the longest saga I feel like I've ever seen.
Who'd like to come into the PvP ring with me, by the way? It'll be funny. It's boring in here. Who wants to 1v1 fighting game style? Let's do it. Let's fight. It'll be funny.
In any kind of YouTube niche, with maybe the exception of, like, I don't know, the makeup and beauty space, because them bitches is crazy.
I'm gonna be real. That makeup and beauty shit was crazy. Fun fact about me, a really, really long time ago, you can't find these videos. They've been deleted off the internet. My first attempt at being a content creator was being in the beauty community. My first video that I ever posted on the internet was a beauty drama video. This is not a joke at all. I forgot about this. It was a drama makeup video! And you know what? It got like 50K views. That's it better than every single video on my entire channel now, except for one. Isn't that crazy? I like drama content is the point. It is kind of like the core of who I am as a human. I like chisme. It's just who I am. I like to talk about it. I try to be a makeup influencer. I tried to be a makeup influencer, but I was too unwell and I quit. And then the makeup community, like right after, just imploded and it was terrible.
Just so we don't get it twisted, yes, I am referring to the Tectone and Atsu drama that spiraled out of control, that had tons of content creators being sucked into this vortex. It was a black hole event. It was like the bloody Captain America Civil War event that took place. Like, it's crazy. It's too much to recap in this video here. If you want to learn more about that, Muujin did a great video on it. If you got
Muujin's video is fantastic. I will say that that whole thing was honestly legitimately awful, affected a lot of people's lives in ways that cannot be undone and should not be joked about too much. I do sort of owe that situation my career. So I am glad that that happened, but it obviously caused a lot of wreckage and harm to a lot of people who did not deserve it, and some people who sort of high-key did.
A few hours to spare, but I'm not getting into all the details on this one. All that matters is that we've gone through this crazy event and it is now seemingly done. There was a small epilogue there, kind of a little bit that happened with MTash, but even that's all a wash. So it seems
what happened with MTash? I don't know anything about that.
Things have finally cooled off in terms of the content creator space, which I'm gonna be honest is really nice to see.
Yeah.
But, well, a lot of these content creators have moved into a time of recovery. Like, for example, Tectone just went on a break. HexJuice has been on a break. Other people as well.
I'm back though. Thank you for mentioning me. But I'm back. But yeah, I did need that break real bad. It was really bad. I'm gonna be honest. I'm kind of using this as a, I didn't know that this video was gonna be hit so hard. I'm gonna be real. So I'm kind of using this as an excuse to talk about myself as well. I really did need some time to sort of sit down and actually reflect on what I needed and what I wanted and what my goals were and whether or not I was doing what I thought was going to achieve them. I'm so glad that I did this because I feel so much better. I feel like you can hear it in my voice. Like if you watched a video from me like a week or two ago compared to today, I feel like I just sound better. I sound happier. I am happier. I was legitimately thinking about quitting. Really, not quitting, but like I didn't know how to get out of the way that I felt and the way that I was like handling the community stuff. And I felt like it was just like not gonna get better. And so it was so fucking hard to know how to like get through it. And I had to just not stream and like actually think and like talk about it and figure out what I wanted and talk through it. I was not going to be able to slam my face into it enough that it was going to fix itself. I had to stop and consider my options. And I'm so glad that I did. I highly recommend to any content creators, if you are struggling with your mental health, with the negativity in the community, I'm begging you, please sit down and talk to people you trust about what you want and what you need. It will help you so much because there's a certain amount when you are on the grind, you're not going to be able to figure out fuck all. But I think that there are a lot of people who are very obviously burnt out, on edge, frustrated, mad, all of that stuff, right? And like literally take a couple of days off and think about what you need and what you want from content creation, because there is no point in continuing the grind if it's not fun. This is something that Pokey said, and I think Fob said something similar. Us as content creators, we get to have the coolest, funnest, comfiest job ever. We get to sit and play video games and talk about games, talk about shit, and people listen and like us. That's like the bestest fucking job in the world. And if you're not having fun, just go, what is the point of doing something like this if you don't enjoy it? There's none.
Well, I've been taking some time. I took some vacation too, but I wasn't really in the drama. But it's nice to see that everybody's finally cooling off. But I don't know if you haven't noticed, but it feels like even though the content creators may be in a cool down state, it seems like the communities are far from it and 100%. They're still out looking for blood. Just 100%. To be clear, I'm not blaming any of the content creators for the stuff that's going on. I very much believe at the end of the day that people are only responsible for their own actions, but you know, it is happening.
There's an in-between state there where content creators do have a certain amount of culpability for encouraging sensationalization and all of that stuff, for sure. Additionally, people should be intelligent enough to think for themselves and not just copy-paste their personality from people that they watch online. But there is a middle ground where people have responsibility for their own actions, and content creators also have responsibility for the effect that they have as influencers, because that's what we do. We influence people.
Wuthering Waves on its launch was at war with Genshin, and now Zenless Zone Zero is at war with Wuthering Waves. The absolute comment sections are bloodbaths of people ripping on both sides. People complaining that Arknight's Enfield is going to suck or it's going to be the next best game. Can the Tower of Fantasy devs actually deliver on NTE? And then of course Azure Premilia. Well, actually most people are pretty excited about Azure Premilia, but
I'm excited for Azure Premilia! I was rewatching all the trailers. I am so excited for Azure Premilia. It's giving Gacha game, but like Pow World, and that is slay.
You get my point. Players of each of these games are still in the comments, are still in the threads, just going to town on each other, and it's just exhausting. And this whole thing is extra funny to me because it feels like people have forgotten something that's so incredibly obvious.
Reality is not real. All that is real is the internet and video games. That's it.
I think a weird reality that those on the front lines refuse to acknowledge is like something that I pointed out earlier in this video. Most people play more than one gacha game. I've got 6 on...
Right! That's the thing that's so weird about it. So few people who are really into gacha games only play one. Most people who play gacha games play more than one. They play at least 2, but like, that's so weird.
On my phone, almost anybody I know who plays gacha games doesn't only play one single game. They usually have at least multiple installed on their phones or consoles or PC.
Yes.
Gacha games have never been and will never be structured as a main game. They're all designed to be side games, and therefore people usually end up picking up multiple to cycle through them. They're all intended to be played in short bursts. I mean, hell, that's Hoyoverse's whole business model. Literally. They want to suck you into their ecosystem of games so that you are constantly jumping from one game to the next, because 100%. There's not always going to be content existing in each one of them. So they want you to be able to go from Zenless Zone Zero to Honkai Star Rail, back to Genshin, back to Zenless Zone Zero. That's the whole point.
You actually forgot about Honkai Impact 3rd and Tears of Themis, which is very disrespectful to those communities that are very alive and thriving.
Sorry, I know Honkai Impact 3rd is there too, but like it's kind of its own thing. It's a bit of an anomaly, whatever. It's fine.
It's a very important gacha game that a lot of people care a lot about.
Fine, you understand. Outside of Hoyoverse though, even if a game on launch has a ton of content for you to do, what we call the honeymoon phase, where you can sit down and binge a gacha game for the first time, that will eventually come to an end and you reach what's called the maintenance mode. That's when you reach the state of the game where you can kind of log in every day, do your dailies, spend some resin, and then you can make some micro progression on your account. But you're not able to just sit there and actually do extended play sessions.
Yeah, because it's not an MMO. You're not supposed to grind endlessly, and that's okay. It's a good thing for your brain to not be playing games endlessly. There are people, do you guys know this, who specifically will speed run through the beginning period of binging content so that they can put the game into their their log of maintenance mode games. Those are people who actually understand what gacha games are and what they are for. You're just meant to put them on your fucking chore list. They're not meant to be played that much. They are meant to be a little bit of extra dopamine at the end of your day that you do for like 10-15 minutes, a little bit extra if you're feeling silly, and then you go do other stuff.
That finally comes when a new patch drops or a new event takes place, where then you can finally log in and then binge part of that.
Exactly.
And then as soon as that's done, you cycle on to the next gacha game and the wheel continues.
Exactly.
So what this means to someone like me is that most people who are screaming about this online probably have at least 2 to 3 gacha games that they're playing. And there are
100%.
definitely people who are finding themselves on both sides of these conflicts. I play Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves, and I don't have any issue in doing so right now. And yet constantly what I'm seeing is people shitting on the other because of whatever combat or whatever story or whatever art style. Pick your side. The argument's made on both.
The thing is that they do completely different things for completely different, like for people who are looking for something different. Someone could want both what you get from Wuwa and what you get from Zenless Zone Zero, and so they can enjoy both games. Some people want the experience from Wuwa, they're going to prefer that. Some people want the experience that you get from Zenless Zone Zero, they prefer that. They're games that are for a different desire, essentially. And you can want both of those things. But some people don't, and that's also okay. Some people don't want to have to think that hard. Some people don't want a super difficult game. Some people do want high stylization and fun and kind of dicking around sort of gameplay. And some people want to grind echoes and stuff like that. And they want to, do hologram 6 with level 40 characters or whatever. And that's all okay. And those are all things that people can enjoy. And one person can enjoy all of those things. But you can't expect every game to fulfill the same need for you. It completely defeats the entire point of having multiple games, of making more games. If every game is the same flavor, why would you have Baskin Robbins but they're all chocolate? Because most people really like chocolate ice cream. You're gonna want variety to get as many people to come in as possible. That's what gacha games are for. Or that's why there are multiple gacha games. That's why Zenless Zone Zero is different. And that's fine. It's not perfect, but neither is any other game, especially not any other gacha game. And that's okay. We don't have to enjoy it. And if someone else enjoys it, it's none of your business. It doesn't matter.
Just recycle the same shit and keep arguing about it over and over again. And then someone like me sitting there like, guys, who cares? So where we find ourselves in a mess.
The only perfect game is Elden Ring? No, it's not, because the final boss of the DLC was mean to me, and I have knocked it down from perfection status, but you cannot criticize it on anything other than that final boss. And the fire golems. Those things suck ass. Those are the 2 things you are allowed to criticize Elden Ring for, and absolutely nothing else.
Of some people who have a very difficult time socializing in society with unhealthy emotional attachments to physical things or people they don't actually know, who are wanting to protect their financial investments, fighting with other people about fictional things that don't exist for fun. And it's dumb.
Now look me in my eyes and tell me you didn't just get clocked. Clocked. 8. Go ahead and say that again. Talk your shit, King.
So where we find ourselves in a mess of some people who have a very difficult time socializing in society with unhealthy emotional attachments to physical things or people they don't actually know, who are wanting to protect their financial investments, fighting with other people about fictional things that don't exist for fun. And it's dumb.
Clocked. Absolutely everybody in here, clocked. Everybody watching this video, clocked. Go off. King.
Oh, gosh. Finally got that off my chest. But look, I don't want to be part of the problem. I'm not going to be somebody who's going to just sit here and bitch about it and complain, because I want to actually offer something.
Okay.
I want to offer some solutions here. What can we do to try and change this crap, okay? So dial in for a sec.
I'm dialed in. I'm locked in, if you will.
I'm a firm believer in personal responsibility, meaning you can only do what you can do, and I think you're only accountable for your own personal actions. So I got 3 new things you can try to help try and be a little bit of change in this space. First one, be constructive. Look, if you got a problem with any kind of game, event, activity, negativity, whatever it may be on a given product or community, don't just sit there and complain about it. Actually offer some solutions in return, even if they're bad ideas. Even if they're bad ideas. I mean, God forbid they actually use one of them, but I personally want to see you offer at least bad ideas, because what that shows to me is you actually care, that you actually care about wanting to see change for the game to make it better. So you're not just going to sit there and whine about it. No.
Okay, King. I agree. No, I agree. I think that there will be bad ideas that come from this concept, right? Like a lot of us don't know fucking anything about game development or game design, so we don't know what we're talking about. That's why I don't like it when people just say L take. I don't like that response to an argument or to an opinion, is because it's essentially that, which is like, I'm not actually going to engage with what was said or what the problem is. I'm just going to say I don't like it. And so it's like, it's impossible to respond to. It means ultimately nothing other than I don't like what you said. And it's overall like, it's just sort of unintelligent, uncritical, stupid like response. You have to actually engage with the problem to show that you care. Otherwise you are just sort of bitching.
Nobody likes somebody who just sits there and complains, but does nothing to try and help it. The second thing is to try and be a bit more patient. Look, I've said this in previous videos and I'm gonna say it again. People are dumb.
Very.
And sometimes being a bit patient to explain a few things can go a long way for somebody.
I think this is not necessarily a good practice always for some content creators, is because on the internet, when you're a content creator, you sort of aggregate people, right? You have a lot of people coming in with different perspectives and stuff. The thing is as a content creator, sometimes a lot of times actually in my experience, people are more interested in picking you apart and breaking down your arguments, in dissecting and splitting hairs to try to disprove you. They're not actually trying to have a conversation with you. They don't actually want to understand. And so I think that this is a good concept. This is a good idea only if you are able to have an understanding and boundary around. If someone is not actually interested in hearing what you have to say and they just want to disagree and they just want to be sort of contrarian, you have to be able and willing to shut it down and say, this is a waste of my time. Because there are people who do just argue to argue and disagree for the sake of disagreement, and it is a waste of your time. You need to be able to say, hey dude, you're not hearing me. I'm ignoring you. I'm muting you. I'm banning you. Whatever. Shut up. I'm done. Because there are a lot of people who just come in to split hairs and attack you and make you turn you around kind of thing. They're not actually trying to have a respectful conversation.
As long as there's somebody who's willing to listen, but we'll come back to that. I think gacha games attract a younger audience, broadly speaking. So it's a lot of younger people bringing their naivete into the space, and they're just spewing things before they've actually had a chance to think about it. So
this is not true for me, at least on YouTube, because my YouTube has a significantly older audience. The thing is with gacha games is that they might attract some younger people because they're on mobile. However, those who are more dedicated to gacha games, who are more dedicated and active in the community, are going to tend to be older because they have more control over their own time and they will have more money to spend. There are kids who play. However, the audience of people who are more dedicated to gacha games are going to be older people and adults, because kids don't have as much control over how they spend their time as an adult does, because they're children.
So try and be a little more patient and try and take an opportunity to explain something to someone, all right? At least try. But if that doesn't work, point 3, don't waste your time.
Okay, all right, I like point 3. Okay, all right. I was disagreeing before I had any right to disagree. That's my bad. Agreed, don't waste your fucking time.
If someone is arguing with you in bad faith, or they don't actually care to learn or be constructive about something, don't bother wasting your time and engaging with that person. You know what's the best thing to do when confronted by trolls and crazy deranged people? To report them, ignore them, and move on with your life.
Block, ban, mute, timeout. Big fan of hide user from channel. If you're really dumb, you're just getting hidden. I don't want to hear from you no more. Speak to the void, bitch. Don't ever let them speak to you again. They have no reason. If you are a content creator, no one has a right to speak in your space. Your platform is not a bastion of free speech for dum-dums. Ban them. Shut them up. They don't have a right to speak if they are so stupid that nothing comes out of their mouth other than shit. They can go bitch and have their opinions to someone and somewhere that gives a fuck. But assume that your space, your platform, be it YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever, assume that your space is your own. People do not deserve to have whatever they want to say on the platform that you built. They can go bitch on Reddit or wherever else, or on their own platform that they probably don't have. But as a content creator, mute, ban, block, hide from channel. They don't deserve to speak if they're gonna be dumb or they're gonna be disrespectful. It's a waste of time.
There is a content creator who comes to mind who perfectly falls into this category, and I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to give him the satisfaction just in case he happens to come across this video. Okay. But I know other content creator friends of mine will know who I'm talking about. And the best thing to do with those kind of people is ignore them, don't engage with them, and move on with your life. But that's not just for content creators, that's for other viewers, that's for people in the comments, that's for people on Twitter, whoever it may be. When you engage with crazy people like that, you are just feeding the beast and literally wasting your own time in life.
Yes.
Unless you're someone like Tectone, where you're about to spin that whole thing into content and literally monetize and make money off of people being stupidly deranged, don't waste your time. Don't waste your life. You don't got a ton of it, so just use it for something better. Now,
agreed. I agree completely. Content creators who are my friends. I don't care if you're not my friend or if I don't like you, but those of you who are my friends, stop arguing with bitches on Twitter. All of you. I've seen so many of my content creator friends arguing back and forth with motherfuckers who have 2 followers, both of whom are bots. Stop arguing with dumb fucks on Twitter. You are wasting your valuable time. You are wasting your valuable, mental health. Stop quote retweeting bitches. Stop arguing people in replies. Stop arguing people in your comment sections. Y'all are arguing in YouTube comment sections. Stop.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I know I probably said a few things that probably pissed off a few people, but we're just having a couple of goofs and gaffs in here while we're talking about something that is adjacently serious. It's not that serious. It's still internet at the end of the day, but it does affect a lot of people and a lot of people's experience. And also, play the games that you like. Somebody else hates the game and they don't like the game that you play, but you have fun playing it. Play it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Who cares?
No one cares.
It's your life. Frickin' live it. If you made this far in the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see y'all in the next one.
That was fantastic. This does not have enough views. This does not have enough views. Go give him some fucking support, bro. Go subscribe, go like, go comment. Go give him some support because that was a fantastic video. Go give him some support. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. But come join us on Twitch if you ever have time. We will be streaming daily except for Sundays at twitch.tv/hex_juice. I appreciate those of you who have supported me so much. I've been really considering what I want from my content creation career and all of that stuff. So I hope that you enjoyed this new energy. I'm trying to bring a little bit more humor, a little bit more balance, a little bit more fun. Like, comment, subscribe. What do you think about all of this? Where do you fall in the Venn diagram? And I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye!